My people, this one shocked me. Oh. Imagine waking up in the news that a court in Canada has officially branded Nigeria's two biggest political parties, the People's Democratic Party, that is PDP, and the All Progressive Congress, that is APC, as organizations linked to terrorism and the subversion of democracy. Yes, you heard me right. And the reason, it all started with one man's asylum request, but it ended up shaking the image of Nigeria's political establishment before the whole world. Today, we are going deep, not just into what happened, but why it happened, and what it means for Nigeria's politics going forward. Of course, once again, welcome back to Ebe Perspective, your domain for unfiltered news and political analysis. It will also interest you to know that barely hours after the news broke, the Kanu's led counsel, Ejimakor, took to his Twitter handle, stepped forward with a bold demand. His message to the federal government was clear. If Canada now views PDP and APC in this light, then the proscription of the IPOB here in Nigeria must be removed immediately. That to him, it doesn't make moral or legal sense proscribing the IPOB, since PDP and APC are now seen as terror organization. And this is something I need to chip in here about this particular statement from Aloysius. He's actually using the Canadian court's ruling as a leverage, essentially saying, if international courts can point fingers at Nigeria's ruling parties over violence and democratic subversion, then by that same logic, IPOB's branding as a terrorist organization is unjust and hypocritical. His stance challenges the federal government on two things. First, to prove that IPOB's proscription is truly about security and not politics. And of course, secondly, to address the glaring contradiction of letting parties accused of electoral violence operate freely while keeping IPOB banned. This is my simple observation to his statement. Then let's move back to the issue of the APC and PDP's declaration. This is how it started. The whole saga began in Canada's federal court, where a Nigerian man named Douglas stood before the judge. He wasn't there for any criminal offense in Canada, no, but he was there seeking protection, asking for refugee status under the Canadian Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. Douglas reviewed his political journey. He talked about being the member of the PDP from 1999 to 2007, then APC membership from 2007 to 2017 before moving to Canada. What are his claims? He needed asylum because of threats to his life back home. But here's the twist. Instead of just evaluating this personal case, the Canadian Immigration Appeal Division dug deeper into the history of these political parties themselves. And what they found was very, very explosive. Some would ask, what are the evidence? Why is Canada branding APC and PDP a terrorist-linked organization? Let's analyze this. The Canadian Tribunal dug into Nigeria's electoral history, particularly the violent episode of 2003 and 2004, precisely. They cited ballot box snatching, political killings, intimidation of voters, and orchestrated election rigging. And these acts, which under Canadian law fall under what they call subversion of democracy. They argued that party leaders, whether APC or PDP, benefited from these acts, or at least failed to prevent them when it were all happening. And under their law, if an organization is linked to such subversion, then even being a member, whether you personally committed violence or not, it is enough to make you inadmissible to Canada. And here is the shocking verdict. When the matter reached the Justice Court, the judge upheld the tribunal's position. The message was very clear. I mean, these parties, APC and PDP, are tainted by democratic subversion, according to the court. And for the purpose of this Canadian immigration law, their members can be treated the same way Canada treats those linked to terrorist groups. The Douglas claim, what does it stand? Is it denied? And this wasn't a small decision. It's now on public record that Canada's judiciary has associated Nigeria's ruling party, a major ruling party in Nigeria, and main opposition with acts considered terroristic under their legal framework. Then the Nigerian government response and that of the opposition. The response from Nigeria was instant and somehow fierce. The federal government called it reckless and baseless. They accused Canada of disrespecting Nigerian democracy and warned that such labeling and branding could have huge diplomatic consequences. PDP's response. The PDP blasted the ruling and of course said it's built on misinformation and the politically based narratives. APC camp went further, calling the report fake news and stressing that the court never officially declared APC a terrorist group, just that the individual in question was inadmissible based on background information. They also pointed out some factual flaw that APC wasn't even founded until 2013. Somehow, to me, this is actually a valid argument. But the revelation here is the labeling actually about the political parties or the politicians? Because you see most of them moving from PDP to APC and to every other political parties. So is the Canadian court actually labeling these two political parties, the two major political parties, or the nation, or let's just say the nation and its leader? So therefore for them, Douglas cannot claim of being the membership of a party that was not even founded as earlier as 2007. So to them, it made no sense. But regardless of these rebuttals, the damage was done and it is very, very obvious. I mean, in the eyes of the international audience, the court record is there and it's not going away. It is more like a scar that would never fade. I mean, people would ask, why would Canada do this? What did they see that most of us here in Nigeria didn't see? Let's be clear. Canada didn't just wake up one morning to attack Nigeria or to call its major political parties an organization that is linked to terrorism. No, this was about immigration law. And in their eyes, let's look into this. First, evidence of electoral violence. No one in Nigeria could be told of how elections are being conducted in Nigeria. Verify reports of killings, voter intimidation, and ballot stuffing dated back 2000s. Secondly, leadership complicity. Of course, who are those responsible for those things? Because when you watch them do it, no one questions it, in as much as it's something that is going to favor them. So leaders gain from it and they also fail to stop the violence. Then thirdly, the broad membership rule. Under Canadian law, if you belong to an organization that engages in subversion or terror, your personal influence, your personal innocence, whatever, doesn't matter. Membership alone can disqualify you, and this is what the Canadian court is actually ruling on. Looking out for number 4, political messaging. Canada positioned itself as a defender of democracy worldwide. So branding any political party a terrorist or branding any party involved in violence or as a threat sends a warning to others. So while Nigerian politicians see this as an insult, Canada sees it as simply applying their own laws, even if it means upsetting diplomatic friendship between Canada and Nigeria. Let's just be sincere. This ruling is not just about Douglas. It sets a precedent. From now on, any Nigerian seeking asylum or setting visa in Canada somehow might face intense questioning about post-political affiliations. Whether you support APC or PDP, this should worry you as a Nigerian. I mean, if international courts start branding your political parties, it's more like the major political parties, that is the face of the country, as a terror-linked group, it can damage not just the party's image, but Nigeria's entire democratic reputation. So these are the things that should bother you as a Nigerian. So my people, what do you think? Is this a justified stand for democracy by Canada or an unfair foreign interference in our internal politics? One thing is very, very clear. Nigerian politics is just got a new international headache. For real. And for those in power, this is a wake-up call that the world is watching and judging, of course. So this is something that everybody should just bestow on and look out for what we do. I mean, it's going to be taking out a lot of things out of us if care is not taken. So this is my crackdown for this very news. And to my audience, if you found this analysis useful and eye-opening, smash that like button, share this video, let others bring in their democratic opinion. We need to queue in to discuss about this because Nigeria is a great country. Nigeria cannot succeed without Nigerians. Leave your comments. Let's see what you think. This is a better perspective, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching.